Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make plantains with guava and cheese. Plátanos Maduros con Guayaba y Queso. How delicious does that sound? So I first ate this dish when I was living on the island of Puerto Rico, and I was just completely blown away by it. I never even imagined the combination of sweet plantains together with guava and with cheese, and then baked in the oven to provide this golden, incredible side dish like nothing I've ever tasted before. It's absolutely divine, of course, with those sweet plantains and the sweetness from the guava and the contrast of the cheese. It's just really unexpected and super delicious. So I'm super excited to teach you how to make these. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 4 ripe plantains, 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm using salted butter, a half a teaspoon of salt, 11 ounces of guava paste, and 6 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese. You will also need some non-stick cooking spray, a 9x13 glass Pyrex or a similarly sized baking dish, a couple of cutting boards and knives, some measuring spoons, and some oven mitts. So now that we have all of our tools and ingredients together, let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees, making sure you have a rack placed in the center. Now, grab your plantains, and what we're going to want to do is peel them and slice them. But you first want to make sure that they are definitely ripe enough. They should have plenty of black spots or black areas. They should be nice and yellow, and they should be soft to the touch. You should be able to gently press on them, and you should be able to feel some give. You want to make sure that they definitely feel soft. So what I like to do is cut off the end, and then I just use a large knife and I give the plantain a nice cut along one side, and that is just going to help me release the peel from my plantain. So the peel should come off fairly easily. If your peel is not coming off of your plantain, that is another sign that your plantain is not ripe enough. Your plantain should be really nice and soft and almost slippery as you cut it. You see how the slices are sticking to the knife? Those delicious sugars that are naturally in that plantain have developed because my plantain is nice and ripe. So you want to be sure that they are ripe. And the truth is, the blacker the plantain, the better. The more spots, the better. That just means that those sugars have developed and the plantain is super sweet and ready for baking. So once you've sliced one plantain, then all you want to do is bring over the rest of them, and you're just going to repeat the same exact process. You're going to cut off the end, you're going to run a slit down it, and then you're just going to cut it in slices. And you'll notice I cut my slices at an angle because that is the same way we cut them when we fry our sweet plantains. So I really love to cut it this way. It's the traditional way to slice them. So the next thing you want to do is coat your baking dish with some non-stick cooking spray to make sure that when all those yummy flavors caramelize, they don't stick to your pan. And then what you want to do is add all of your plantains right into your pan. And then all you're going to do is use your hands and you're going to gently arrange the plantains in the pan so that you form one layer. You just don't want too many areas that have a bunch of plantains stacked on top of each other. You just kind of want to lay them out as flat as you possibly can. So now that you've spread your plantains out, what you want to do is give them a little sprinkle of salt. We're not going very heavy on the salt because we are going to be using salted butter after all. So we're just going to add a touch more of salt to really enhance the flavors of this dish. So now You want to grab your 4 tablespoons of butter and a cutting board and a knife, and you want to cut your 4 tablespoons of butter into small cubes because this is really going to help us distribute that butter equally amongst all of these lovely plantains. So once they're in small cubes, all you want to do is grab those cubes and you're just going to sprinkle them around all over the plantains. Basically what you're looking to do is to just distribute them amongst the pan. The butter, together with the natural sugars in the plantains, and of course the sugar in that guava paste that we're going to be using, together with the cheese, is going to be incredible. So now we move on to our guava paste, and we're going to peel it, and then we're also going to just cut it up into pieces because we're going to do the same thing with our guava. We are just going to sprinkle the pieces of guava all over our plantains because we really want all of these flavors to marry together in the oven. So we want to make sure that all of our plantains get a lot of love from the butter, from the guava, and of course from that lovely cheese that's coming up. We just want to make sure that every bite is absolutely delicious. So I had actually cut up the entire block of guava paste, but I have about 3 ounces left over from a 14-ounce bar. So I'm just going to pop these 3 extra ounces in a Ziploc in the fridge, and hence the recipe calls for 11 ounces of guava paste. So now it's time to move on to our shredded mozzarella cheese. And what I do is I just grab the cheese right out of the bag and I just sprinkle the cheese all over the top of this dish. Now, I will be using most of the bag. I will be leaving about 2 ounces left from this 8-ounce bag. Hence, I call for 6 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese. So just make sure to give all of the plantains and the guava a nice sprinkling of this cheese because really the contrast in flavors between the sweetness of the plantains and guava and the saltiness of the cheese is delicious. So now my Plátanos Maduros con Guayaba y Queso are ready to go into the oven and they're looking incredible already. And so I'm going to pop them in my oven and make sure I have them on a center rack. And I'm going to set a 35-minute timer to let them caramelize and get golden and beautiful and fragrant. And just look at this incredible dish after 35 minutes of oven magic. It looks so good. And don't be misled. The guava keeps its shape, but it is completely melted. When you go to serve it, you're going to see that the guava just completely melts down as you serve it. And of course, as you eat it, you have to be super careful because it's piping hot. And because of its sugars, it can burn you. So be super, super careful not to take a bite immediately. Just give it a second, even though, of course, I'm tempted to just go right in because really it looks so delicious. The edges have caramelized. It looks amazing. And those plantains, or amarillos, as they actually call them in Puerto Rico, where I learned how to eat this dish, are beautiful. They are deliciously sweet, and the combination with the cheese is just so great. I just can't wait to eat it. Look at how beautiful those plantains look with that guava and that cheese. So, so good. I'm drooling. So tasty. Wow, so, so delicious. That guava is just all melty and yummy, and it just pairs so well with those plantains. And of course, that cheese has become caramelized and just crusty. And of course, the edges are my favorite part because they're just completely crusty and crunchy and just golden, delicious. So, so tasty and so, so different. Look at that edge, how completely crusty and golden it looks. That's really my favorite part of the dish. Actually, I grabbed a knife to help me cut into that because you see it's like chewy and caramelized and crusty and it just looks so good. I cannot wait to have another bite. That is the best part right there. So good. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So yummy, such a delicious side dish, so different. And look at the crust. I mean, there's no way to describe it. You just have to try it. It is so, so tasty, delicious. I'm literally scraping up all the guava from the plate because I do not want to leave not even a touch behind. It's that tasty and that yummy. You're going to love it. It's different, unexpected, and super, super delicious. Going in for another bite. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You're going to love it. So, so, so good. So how crazy delicious does this look? The combination of that natural caramelization that happens with those sweet plantains as they cook, together with the delicious sweetness of that guava paste, and the contrast with that cheese is just super delicious, super unexpected. And it creates this crusty, just absolutely delicious, sweet, and just super different side dish. You are gonna love it. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Share the recipe with your friends. And if you haven't already subscribed to Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and to touch that little notification bell so that you get notified when I put up new recipes, which I put up all of the time. And there are already a ton of recipes under my video tab, so make sure to explore. And if you're not already following me on social media, you can follow Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. See you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.